Hey, welcome back to my series on Learning Maya for Beginners. Today we're continuing with modeling and we're looking at deformers. So I've just created a couple different primitive objects here and added some additional edge loops, divisions here, particularly in the height, just so that we could really see what some of these deformers are doing. So we're going to start with this cylinder. So if you go up to the deform menu and then down to a lot of these are actually the deformers you can use. I'm not going to look at everything you can possibly use today, but just some of the ones I find most helpful. So here in the nonlinear, I find myself using this bend a fair amount. So if we click on this, you'll see that we get a bend 1 handle. And we can't actually see this right now, but if I hide my cylinder, you'll see that I have this bend handle. It's kind of just a line. But what this does, let's bring back our cylinder, select the handle. If we come over here in our channel box to the inputs, you'll see that we have a couple options to change. And if I go to the curvature and I start changing that up, by the way, if you just select the word curvature and then use your middle mouse button to click and drag, that's how we can change that kind of in this live space here. And you'll see that we can pretty easily get a curve that a lot of times could take us much longer to get. And you'll notice we still do have control to rotate and alter this original curve handle, the bend handle. But as we do this, you're going to see it starts distorting this shape in some pretty weird ways. So a lot of times what you'll have to do, if this cylinder had maybe been lying flat on the floor first, you might have to get the bend handle into the right position so that when you do change this curve, it's actually changing it the way that you want to. So this is the bend handle. One thing that you should know about using these deformers is these are now kind of linked. So moving this object, you'll see, doesn't maybe do what you think it might do. If you were just trying to move this kind of macaroni piece up somewhere, you'll see that it's still going to follow along this curve. So basically you want to use this deformer for as long as it's needed, but once you have the shape and you are positive that this is the shape that you want, then you want to unlink these. And the way to do that is delete the history. So you can go up to Edit, Delete by Type, History, or there's a nice hotkey right here, the little clock with kind of this X in the history that's going to delete the history for us. And you'll see once I click that, my bend handle disappears, and now this object has no undo history, so Control Z is not going to do anything, and I can move this around kind of as if this had been the starting primitive shape, you know, if I had just gone create macaroni piece or whatever. So the next one I want to look at that I find pretty useful, deform, nonlinear, twist. You'll see, once again, we get an input. We get kind of these two circles at the top and the bottom, a new twist handle over here. And if you play around with the start angle or end angle, you'll see that we can get a pretty nice twisting effect out of this. This is something that can be pretty time consuming to try to get, you know, if you're using soft select to try to do some of this, or just each edge loop and then rotating them to try to do this. But this can definitely save a lot of time. And same thing, you're gonna have to delete the history if you just wanna keep that as is. So you've got a few more in this nonlinear that you can play with. The wave, the flare can be useful. Next one I wanna actually look at is this lattice. So if I click on this one, what it does is creates this cube type shape around my object that has a certain number of divisions, and you'll see that the divisions are set here. I can actually change these. So if I didn't want as many divisions here, I only wanted divisions at the top and bottom, switch this down to 2, and then I only have divisions here. I'm going to leave those. You can also add more, of course, but basically what this does, if I hold right click, I can go to the lattice point, and it gives me these vertices. And if I change these, maybe I'll select all 4 of these and go to scale, scale these up, you'll see that this will deform my object based on what I'm doing with these vertices. So we could move these around, move only a few of them around. Really, you've got a lot of control for what you can do with these different shapes. So this is a nice way to just kind of tweak an overall model. Maybe you've modeled a head and you're realizing that the proportions of the skull or the top of the head are not quite what you're going for. You can throw on a lattice and just do these minor adjustments. I mean, even if you're just changing one vertex to just kind of pull something around a bit, this can be very helpful. Now, once again, you'll notice if I try to move this, the moment it goes outside of the lattice, the distortion is undone. So this is another one where once you know you've got the shape completed, you're satisfied with it, you're okay deleting the rest of the history and undo Q on an object, you can do that. So that's our quick look at deformers. Feel free to play around with a bunch of other options here, but they can be very useful to get quick results. So that is all I'm going to show on deformers. I'll see you next time.